Some of those houses.
Alderman meeting is now called to order. That's right, run to your seats. Had to do it once. I had to do it at least once. All right, please stand and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before I get to sit down, we got pictures. You want to come up here and get a picture? I won't read through the whole thing. So Mid-America Regional Council is celebrating 50 years of service. So Representative Mark is here. I serve on the Mark Executive Board now, so it's an honor to do that. They manage a lot of projects, a lot of programs over the years. How many staff is Mark? 160. 160.
About 160.
So they represent 9 counties, 119 cities, and they manage funding for a lot of projects, including our sidewalks that we're going to restart on and Streetscape Phase 3. So thank you for being here. Congratulations, Mark. Thank you. I also have a proclamation. June 15th is World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. So put that on your calendar. We will post these both online, right? Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the public hearing for the Smithville TIF Marketplace. Do I have anything I have to do other than open it? Is there anybody here for the public hearing? No? We'll open the public hearing for the Smithville Marketplace and
Stephen does have a presentation.
Yep. Go for it, Steven. Yeah, I will. No comments or anything. I will close the public hearing. Is your mic on?
It's on now.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thank you for the opportunity tonight to present. Stephen Larson, Finance Director. Just have a brief presentation on the Smithville Marketplace TIF, giving you 5 years of financial activity and area activity. Go ahead and kick it off here.
Yay.
There we go. Okay. I'm going to give you a district overview of the Smithville Marketplace TIF. The City of Smithville Board of Aldermen adopted the Smithville Marketplace TIF plan back in August of 2017. Provides economic incentives to a developer. This plan identified a redevelopment area of approximately 66 acres between Cliff Drive and US Highway 169. Historically, this had been the Smithville Commons site, which was developed in 2009 as a large-scale multi-tenant site. By 2011, the development unfortunately didn't have any occupants, and in 2014, the area was foreclosed upon. Within this TIF plan that was adopted by the board, it included some specific projections, and we'll go through those projections tonight, show you some graphs and how the activity has been doing. The projections that were given provided some estimates on what assessed valuation would be for the redevelopment area. The pilots that would be going to the special allocation fund and back to the taxing authorities, estimated economic activity taxes based upon the sales in the area. And then also in that plan was, in the concept plan, was the idea of a tractor and supply store. It was initially planned for the TIF, but it is not located in the TIF. So as we go through these charts and graphs, we'll keep that in mind in our analysis, along with some other factors. Go. Overview of what is in the Marketplace TIF. And you can see we have a lot of modern businesses that have recently opened in the last 1 to 2 years. Our Scooters Coffee, Taco Bell, Domino's, the relocation of the Costino's Price Chopper, the Porter's Hardware Store, Burger King, and then a couple other tenants that are coming soon, Jimmy John's, and then the dentist.
Still works.
Still works. That's just the test. So the Smithville Marketplace TIF, the assessed valuation projections are shown here versus the actual. In the TIF plan, you can see the projections are shown in orange, and then the actual assessed valuation is shown in gray. You'll see in a couple of years there, in 2019 and 2020, the orange bars do exceed the grays. And just keeping in mind some factors in play here, there were some delays in opening those businesses in the marketplace and timelines of opening, and also the COVID-19 pandemic also played a role in that. In the 2021 tax year, you can see assessed valuation at 4.6 million exceeds the projection. So that's excellent to see that in 2021. And then going forward, we'll continue to show you how those assessed valuations stack up. And then just keeping in mind which businesses are also in the TIF. That Tractor and Supply Store was in those projections, but doesn't contribute to the assessed value. The next slide shows you the payments that have been received by outside jurisdictions and then the payments that go to the Special Allocation Fund. In 2018 and 2019 tax years, those AVs provided property tax payments to the jurisdictions in fiscal year 19 and 20, the first two bars on the column in the chart. And then the following 2 years, the assessed valuation grew for the district, which provided further property tax revenue to the taxing authorities. So you can see there in 2021, the taxing authorities received about $8,800 in the orange, and then the rest paid to the fund. In 2022, that assessed valuation grew to the 4.6 million, and the taxing authorities received even greater funds from the TIF. So they continue to receive their property tax outlined by the plan. And the next chart shows you the economic activity taxes, the actual versus the projected. And again, here, like I explained, keeping in mind the timeline of when these businesses opened, the COVID-19 pandemic, and what businesses are located in the TIF. All of those factors contributed to how our actual stacked up to projected. So in 19 and 20, that was when the projection was to get our businesses going. There was some delays in timelines. And in 2021, we had the major businesses start to open. And then just keeping in mind the businesses that are located there versus the plan. In 2022, I want to call out that bar, that gray represents year-to-date activity of 6 months. So looking at that on a 6-month scale, in the staff report, we called out that we're looking to receive maybe about 560,000 in TIF eats, which really is good for the businesses that are there and in accordance with what's being projected by the plan. Finally, the Community Improvement District. This slide really just outlines what the 1% sales tax rate brings in compared to the budget that's approved by the CID board. You can see the board approved a budget of $300,000 in 2021, and we received $297,000. In 2022, through 6 months, we've received $152,000. So if you multiply that by 2 for a 12-month period, it should reach a budget of $300,000 to $305,000. So this is a good indicator that the businesses are performing in accordance with what was planned and budgeted. Really, to conclude the 5-year report, the city's seen modern and attractive businesses open in the redevelopment area. This has really increased Smithville's commercial presence. The assessed valuation in 2021 is tracking above the TIF plan projections, even after some initial delays in opening the businesses. Given the current status of the area and the businesses located in the area, the sales tax performance is meeting the expectations. The EATS economic activity taxes, which is 50% of all the sales taxes in the area, those are being collected from both the city and the other taxing authorities that have sales taxes, and they're distributed in the Special Allocation Fund. The CID sales tax, which you just saw, that's performing well in the first fiscal year, and we're starting to see growth in that in the second fiscal year. And while our planned businesses, like that tractor supply store, were not constructed, or excuse me, while planned businesses not constructed in anticipated timeframe, the project concept plan has been completed. So we've opened a grocery store, a hardware store, and the pad sites. Board have any questions about the marketplace 5-year TIF report this time?
Guess not.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I just might indicate, as Stephen indicated, this was a 5-year report that's required by state statute. On an annual basis, we do intend to bring this information forward so that we can continue to provide an update to the board. We are statutorily required on an annual basis to report to the Department of Revenue the activities of the TIF, and that is filed every year, I believe annually around November. Is that the correct date? So.
All right. Moving on to the consent agenda. I have a motion to approve the consent agenda. Alderman Atkins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Mayor, I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item is the committee reports, EDC. Anything to report from the EDC?
I got a short one, Mr. Mayor. On 5/24, the EDC did have a meeting. Chamber of Commerce added 6 more members and they're working on the barbecue bash. Chairwoman's report, the Larson's crew was a great turnout, as well with the VW show. And they're looking forward for the Lake Fest that's coming up. Staff report had 50 residential permits added. The added storage is in progress. McBee's was approved. The medical marijuana growth center is still in progress, and the old hospital plan has been received, and conversation is in progress with the city. The action items ahead, approval of the updated economical development program incentives were presented and recommended, done and approved. And the next step was to take it to the Board of Aldermen for a future work session. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. City Administrator's report. Ms. Wagner.
The 3 items I'd like to touch base on this evening, a couple in the report and updates on a couple of items. First, you may have seen on social media today, we did discover a leak at the splash pad. So we closed it this afternoon. It'll be closed tomorrow until we can find the leak. So we're hoping to be able to get to the bottom of that quickly as warm weather approaches. Secondly, you might have also seen on social media or questions or comments, bulky item trash pickup is this week. GFL advised yesterday morning that they have not been able to secure the temporary help that they normally have to be able to do that. So they are moving a little slowly and a little differently than normally planned. So they are picking up and have committed to have the bulky items picked up by the end of the week. But it may be that they pick up bits and pieces at a time. So it may appear that some of your items get taken, others may not. Someone in your neighborhood may have had pickup, someone may not. They're adjusting their crews to be able to work and address those pickup to what they're able to do. So the full intent is to have everything picked up by close of business Friday, but it will be a little different than what it's been in the past. And then finally included in the city administrator's report, at the last meeting, Alderman Hartman requested that the sale of land at the Courtyard Park be placed back on the agenda for further consideration. After discussion with our John Reddick, city attorney, he did advise that we reissue the RFP for the sale of land, just to make sure that we go through a process on that to ensure that we've had ample time again to review that. We wanted to make sure that we received direction from the entire board that that is something that you did want to do. We don't need an official vote, but just again, that if we've got a consensus that we want to proceed on that, and then would like for some direction, we've kind of outlined a couple processes. One, we would anticipate if you all do direct that we issue an RFP, that we put that back out tomorrow. But we've got a couple of timeframes. One where we could look at having it out for just 1 week and then turn around and have first reading on, let's see, June 15th. And then June 21st, with the second reading then on July 19th, or have it out for longer with a due date June 29th, with first reading on July 19th and second reading on August 2nd. So looking for some direction and consensus from the board on that.
Before we get to that, on the bulk trash pickup, do you think it might be worth in the future of also placing dumpsters around town so people can drop off stuff?
That is something we can reach out to GFL on
Okay.
their ability to be able to do that, and if that would change any pricing.
Yeah, it might help. I know some people had asked about dumpster days and other towns have done it, so. All right, on to the other thing.
Okay, thank you, Cynthia. So I've had some question from fellow board members just this evening on what the thought process was. First of all, I believe that we are always encouraged to look at businesses that would add to the sales tax revenue as well as property tax revenue. But I know there's some thought process too of potentially leasing that. But Cynthia, I don't know the process. If we have to change it from a sale to a lease or a discussion, do we need to put that back on the agenda for further?
I think if we
discussion?
would want to look at lease versus sale, we'd need another discussion of that, just so that we understand, because, and I'm going back several meetings ago and several topics since, I think there were some questions and concerns about a lease. Correct, Anna? It was the alcohol. Yeah. So if that's the way that we wanted to look at it, we could place that on a work session for review, or other business in a meeting to have that discussion again then as well.
I am, excuse me, Cynthia, I am opposed to this being placed back on the agenda. Prior to my being on this board, I did sit out with the other constituents and saw a line of constituents up here that approached about this and did not want this park to be, I wanted it to be left alone for the communities, for the citizens of the community. And I am opposed to this being placed on the agenda again, for the record.
Thank you. Anyone else? Alderman Chevalier.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily opposed to it being on the agenda again. What I would be, hesitant on is, the sale. I'd rather see a lease option as well.
I have a question on that. If it's a lease option, would it be like a weekend lease? Would it be a year lease? I think a weekend lease for something, I think, is a lot more palatable than a structure placed in there for a lease, a long-term lease. You might as well sell it. I'm not sure, if we're just going, in my opinion, if we're just going after the money, this is one of program here that was not supported in my discussions, as well as with the community members that showed up here to oppose.
Anyone else?
I would like to see it back on the agenda.
Okay.
The people I've talked with, I've had 2 people tell me no, but majority of the people that I've personally talked to have been in favor of it being sold and a structure put on it.
So I'm going to set the agenda. We'll put it on the agenda. We'll discuss leasing and we'll put it on the July work session. Does that work?
We could put on the July 19th work session.
Sounds good. Any other items for Cynthia's city administrator report? No,
And thank you all for that direction.
thanks. Next item on the agenda is number 8. Cap funding.
Mayor?
Alderman Hartman.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion, Mayor, for bill number 2940-22, agreement with MoDOT for TAP funding, second reading.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Alderman Chevalier.
Second.
Any discussion? Let Linda get her mic. Clerk, please call roll.
Alderman Hartman,
Aye.
Alderman Kibelski. Aye. Alderman Chevalier,
Aye.
Alderman Russell,
Aye.
Alderman Atkins,
Aye.
5-0.
Motion carries. Ms. Wagner, please read the bill.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a transportation alternative funds program agreement with the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission for pedestrian improvements on Commercial Street.
Next item on the agenda is number 9. Alderman Shevler.
Thank you. I move to approve bill number 2941-22, the funding agreement with 110 Smithville.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
I have a discussion, Mr. Mayor, please. I just wanted to clarify one item on the Gilmore and Bell PC dated June 10th, 2022, section 99.800. It goes on from the state of Missouri. Item number 4 stipulates that certified mail will be sent to all people whose name and general taxes preceding year are paid. Do we have a list of those names? Is there a way we can get a list of those names of who those people were?
That's actually related to the TIF process for review of a TIF application.
Okay, it's further
That-
down the
that's-
line.
That's further down the line
Okay.
in this project. That's correct.
Okay, thank
That's-
you, Mr.
That
Mayor.
memo is related to the item in the city administrator's report.
Any other discussion? Clerk, please call roll.
Alderman Chevalier.
Aye.
Alderman Hartman,
Aye.
Alderman Atkins,
Aye.
Alderman Russell,
Aye.
Alderman Kibelski,
Aye.
5-0.
Motion carries. Ms. Wagner, please read the bill.
An ordinance approving a funding agreement for the 110 Smithville Tax Increment Financing Plan.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is number 10. Alderman Hartman.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for bill number 2942-22, easement with the Army Corps of Engineers, second reading.
Thank you. Alderman Chevalier.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Clerk, please call roll.
Alderman Russell,
Aye.
Alderman Atkins,
Aye.
Alderman Hartman,
Aye.
Alderman Chevalier.
Aye.
Alderman Kibelski,
Aye.
5-0.
Motion carries. Ms. Wagner, please read the bill.
An ordinance approving an easement for water pipeline and pumping facility in support of water supply storage between the city of Smithville, Missouri and the United States of America regarding the easement number DACW 41-2-22-0001 as a replacement to easement number DACW 41-2-12-006 for the use of Corps of Engineers property to expand, improve, repair, and revise the existing water supply and pumping facilities.
Thank you. And I have to sign that many of them too. It is really that long of a title. All right, next item on the agenda, we do have 2 readings tonight. So I need a motion for the first reading. Alderman Russell.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for bill number 2944-22, sewer easement agreement, emergency ordinance sponsored by Mayor Bully, first reading only.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Oh, sorry.
We skipped over
Number
43.
11. Number 11 first, please. Alderman Chevalier.
Thank you. Move to approve bill number 2943-22, the agreement with Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
I'll let Linda make the call on that one. Any discussion? Clerk, please call roll.
Alderman Kibelski,
Aye.
Alderman Russell,
Aye.
Alderman Atkins.
Aye.
Alderman Hartman,
Aye.
Alderman Chevalier.
Aye.
5-0.
Thank you. Ms. Wagner, please read the bill.
An ordinance approving the traffic signal communication cooperative agreement with the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission.
All right, now number 12, Alderman Russell.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion for bill number 2944-22, sewer easement agreement, emergency ordinance sponsored by Mayor Bully, first reading.
Thank you. Second. Second, Alderman Chevalier.
Second that.
Thank you. Any discussion? Clerk, please call roll.
Alderman Atkins,
Aye.
Alderman Chevalier,
Aye.
Alderman Russell,
Aye.
Alderman Kibelski,
Aye.
Alderman Hartman.
Aye.
5-0.
Motion carries. Ms. Wagner, please read the bill.
An ordinance approving release and agreement for a sewer easement with Stephen G. Bliss and Karen G. Bliss.
Thank you. Now the second reading. I have a motion.
Yeah, go ahead.
Alderman
Mayor,
Hartman.
yeah, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for bill number 2944-22, sewer easement agreement, second reading.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Clerk, please call roll.
Alderman Atkins.
Aye.
Alderman Hartman.
Aye.
Alderman Chevalier.
Aye.
Alderman Russell.
Aye.
Alderman Kibelski.
Aye.
5-0.
Motion carries. Ms. Wagner, please read the bill.
An ordinance approving release and agreement for a sewer easement with Stephen G. Bliss and Karen G. Bliss.
Thank you. Next item is number 13.
Mayor,
Alderman Hartman.
yes, I'd like to make a motion for resolution 1074.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Is Matt still here? Oh, there he is. Hey, thanks for taking care of this. First time we've had a camp host in the middle of the year. All those in favor of approving resolution 1074, say aye.
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 All opposed, say no. Motion carries. All right, Matt, you got a camp host again. Next item is number 14.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for resolution number 1075, a special event permit, American Family Insurance.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving resolution 1075, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item is number 15.
Mayor,
Alderman Hartman.
yes, I'd like to make a motion for resolution 1076, agreement with Superior Bond.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Diamond Creek. All right. All those in favor of approving resolution 1076, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries. Public comment. I have one public comment card. David Cox. Do you leave? You have to step out?
Outside to.
I think you have to take a phone call. You can see if he's available. All right, emergencies happen. Well, if he comes back, we'll talk about it. I will move on to number 17, appointment of Adam Royds to the Economic Development Committee. He's been interviewed and vetted, and he is in the audience. So, clerk, please call roll.
Alderman Kibelski. Alderman Atkins. Alderman Russell.
Aye.
Alderman Hartman. Alderman Chevalier.
Aye.
5-0.
Awesome, thank you. That's a full board again, right? Okay, good. All right, next, the fun times. We have lots of lawyers for this. I always love it when we have lawyers in the audience. Trying to make the meeting move faster, you know, hourly rates and stuff. You're up.
Evening, Mayor, members of the board. We're here to bring you an update of.
Do we need to project anything?
No, don't.
No, okay, good.
We've prepared a memo that's was in your packets to give you an update to kind of give you an overview. Is we had a presentation and a first reading of the ordinance to authorize the bonds on May 3rd, and we did the second reading on May 17th to authorize those bonds. Since that time, as you read and see almost every day, that the equity markets as well as the bond markets have faced a significant amount of disruption. And despite all of our due diligence and best efforts and everything, is the market has moved significantly from the time that we provide that approval and when UMB went to the market. When we came here at May 3rd meeting, it was represented to the board that we thought that the issuance of the bonds would save us almost $1 million versus the payment to the developer from TIF revenues as they became available. Since that time, that is not going to be able to be realized. We've worked diligently with both the placement agent and with Piper Sandler as the financial advisor for the city to try to figure out alternatives to make the transaction work the best that we can. With those alterations, we do believe that we can market the bonds. Not all the bonds can be sold. The placement agent, instead of all the bonds being sold to provide payments for all the reimbursement owed to the developer, we're going to be able to sell about $8 million of the bonds. It's going to result in approximately almost $7 million of reimbursement to the developer. There'll still be over $4 million that's owed, but we've come up with a structure that allows all the bonds and the reimbursement to the developer to be paid by December 1st of 2034. And it's pretty much a wash with doing it as pay-go. But the $1 million that we indicated that would be available to the city and to the taxing districts is not going to be realized. It's pretty much a wash between doing the payment as you go with the revenues versus the bonds. But it does allow the developer to get almost $7 million of reimbursement. The sale of the bonds would be still consistent with the prior authorization of the ordinance that you've already approved. It just, they won't be able to sell as many bonds as possible, as expected. We don't need any further action if you still want to proceed with the issuance of the bonds. But because that deviated significantly from what was represented, we wanted to come back to the body and just make sure you're still willing to proceed with the issuance of the bonds. There are some other considerations, and I think the mayor has a few things that he'll want to add to that, but that's basically where we are from a legal and economic standpoint. I'll be happy to answer any questions as it relates to that.
So for those of you that aren't in the weeds of the financial world right now, it's a little topsy-turvy, to say the least. Normally bond sales are not this exciting, to say the least. I don't know last time I had to get on this many calls and texts and everything else, but bonds are supposed to be boring usually, right? But they're not this time.
I just want to say not for Todd Goffey.
Not he's so excited. But anyway, this is it's unfortunate the state of the economy we're in, but from a development standpoint, we want to continue to see development in the marketplace. We saw Stephen's presentation. Those businesses are generating revenue. They're on target or ahead of, in some cases. We need to continue to see development. We don't want to just see a pile of dirt for the next 20 years. We saw that happen with the original development. The sign sat there forever. These bonds are going to be able to allow the developer to continue development on that site, not just have a big pile of dirt. So they want to continue developing that site. They need the cash flows to do so, and that's what these bonds help provide for them. So just a little color to it as well, since it hits close to home for us, having driven past the Smithville Commons sign for a few years.
So what are the options? One is to go ahead like we are and it's a wash versus the other option.
The other option would be not to issue the bonds and let the developer be reimbursed as TIF revenues become available. And from that would probably have a major impact on future development at the site that for the property that still remains available for development.
Go ahead.
Mayor, thank you. So in the development world, this is not unusual, but as our market forces have changed, I believe this is the right direction to go, just because, as the mayor alluded to, we want the development to happen, continue to happen. And most developers can shift, and this is an opportunity for the developers of the Smithville Marketplace to shift. And so I believe, this is the direction to go.
Go ahead.
I would like to continue with the bonds as well. We've already approved it. I want to see development to continue to grow in there. That's my direction.
Just a question, what development is continuing now? Or can we not talk about that?
I mean, right now they're vacant land. I mean, they don't have, I mean, you have to have cash flow to go and develop more. You have to have money to build. So right now they have available lots that they want to build on, that they need money to build on. They don't have any big potential secret projects going on. They just want to be able to move forward. I mean, even I think Jack stepped out, but I mean, there is a pretty long drawn out process between Burger King and another restaurant that we're trying to get that one lot. So, you know, they want to continue to develop the site. Right now we have a 30-foot tall pile of dirt and rock on the north side of that, or north side.
So just a question, I wasn't here when the bonds were approved. The developer does not have the funds to do it without the bonds, correct? To develop without the bonds, is that correct? So the bonds were approved to allow the developer to build, correct? The developer couldn't do it on his own without the bonds, correct?
Well, the development has already occurred, and so the bonds are being issued to reimburse the developer for costs that have already been paid. But with the reimbursement of amounts that they've already expended, it provides them funds to provide capital and or down payments on additional development, because there is still additional property there that can be built on. The reimbursement, $7 million that they would get would be funds that would be available. And there's discussion about a lot of different things, but that would provide them the funds in order to continue with those negotiations and discussions to figure out how to best utilize that property and development.
Okay, so.
I think the bonds were just approved last month, right, Megan? So you were here for the
Okay,
approval of the bonds.
okay.
Yes.
Yeah, it was approved. The first reading was May 3rd and the second reading was May 17th.
Okay, I was here for that. So just to clear my lame skull here, we've got, if the bonds would have sold, the city would have got $1 million. Now it's going to be washed, right? Is that the way it works out?
That was the expectation, that we would issue the bonds necessary in an amount to pay the developer for the reimbursement of all the costs that they're eligible to receive reimbursement for. And at the time we had those discussions, we expected that with the interest rates that would be realized, that there would be $1 million savings versus having the developer being reimbursed as revenues were created. It's mostly because the interest rates on the bonds would be accruing at a rate that's significantly less than the reimbursement rate to the developer. The developer is going to probably be reimbursed with an interest of 6%, and the bonds were expected to be significantly less than that. As unfortunately, the bond market has moved away from us. UMB was able to sell $8 million of the bonds that were provide reimbursement, but it's not all the bonds, but it leaves over $4 million still with the 6% interest rate accruing to the developer. So that's because of the interest rate changes and what can be sold, we're left with the savings that we were expected basically being wiped out. It doesn't cost the city any more money. And depending upon how the reserve funds are invested, we've assumed a very conservative rate of 1.25%. Treasuries are currently yielding 3.6%, and that likely to go up. But if those earnings increase, then we could be in a better position than if we just did the pay-go. But it does provide the developer money to at least provide capital to start those discussions and knowing what they have to deal with.
Thank you.
And Ron, if I could just to jump in a little bit. So as we noted earlier, the bond issuance has already been approved by the board. Because those circumstances have changed, it's changed, as Sid said, materially enough. We wanted to come back to the board to confirm that that's still the way you wanted to go.
Right.
Any other questions? No.
No question, but I mean, I support continuing the where we're at. I mean, I want to see more development, so.
Alderman Atkins? Okay, so Hartman, I've heard from you. Kelly, I've heard from you.
Yeah.
Russell?
Yes, sir.
Ford? All right.
Very good. We have what we need. Thank you very much.
you.
We'll proceed to get everything finalized and money in the bank. So,
I
And
get excited
thanks-
about bonds too, so don't worry. We'll go
It
nerd
is
out
actually
later,
pretty
but
cool. And thanks to Sid, Megan, and Todd and the development attorneys also. There's, like you said, there have been a lot of communications back and forth with the change in the market right now. So we appreciate their patience and your all's continued support.
thank you.
new business, any new business? Entertain a motion to adjourn. There we go, adjourn. Alderman Hartman,
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Stand adjourned. David never came back, so. What? They've sold 8. They need to sell another 4. It's probably sold.
Captain D's.